Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Stitchin Post and Knitting with Nancy. I'm Nancy. Hope you're all having a good day and that you're warm and cozy. Please let us know how the volume is. As you can see, I'm standing now to show you product, and then Val's going to come up real close to me so that you all can hear me better. We're trying it a little bit different way and hope that works for you. So first I want to come to the table and show you the products I have today and what I'm discussing. So if you got our newsletter yesterday, you know we spoke about the Forget-Me-Not mitts and Fair Isle. Also we have the Alaska hat. I'm going to turn this over so you can see it. 2 samples. We do have a number of kits available still, as well as in the Forget-Me kit. You got it. But I also brought out some new colors of the Millefiori that you can then make your own ideas of what you want to do, maybe for mitts. It is a fingering weight yarn, so a sock yarn. We have the the Jowl Superwash. This is a Malabrigo Superwash. Although the Millefiori is not 100%, it is a superwash. I beg your pardon. I was going to say it has some wool in it. I thought it was a blend of superwash and not. So it is as well. So come up with your own ideas. If you're doing the hat, you will need a 16-inch circular to get gauge, which we have up online. I love Chowgoo. Or you will need to use double points. For the mitts, you do need double points or magic loop, which I'm going to show you today. What I brought over to the table is our red lace interchangeables. This is a set from 2 through 8. And this is the sock set, which is actually what I am using now. And I'll explain why. And I also want to show my new bracelet color. Those who saw the cowl last week, this was a new color that we just got in, and I love it. And we have restocked. So what I want to go over today is the mitt, and I'm going to take this off and put it on. You do have a right and left hand. It is explained very well in the directions of how you make the gusset. For the right hand, it's going to go on the left side, and for the left hand, that gusset's going to go on the right. Otherwise, the patterning is the same. But what I wanted to show you today is, first off, see, this is my sock set. I just went over to the wall. This is using a little joiner here that takes a mini cable to my size 2s, circulars of my set. And I realized I have to reorder those, so those will be up on our website soon. But look at how fine this cable is. It's beautiful for magic loop. I love Chowgoo products. So let's talk Fair Isle, and I'm going to show you a little bit. I started the Fair Isle part, but this is also 2-color work. And I'm going to use this as a pointer. Can you see almost a line right through the center? And Val, can you get up really, really close? If you look from here to here, and again, it's hard. I want to show you, you see these orange stitches more on top of the colored. And right here I changed, and can you see that now these kind of pop up? Can everybody see that difference? And the reason why is how you hold your yarn and your floats, and what color is on top. If you want this main color to show more, when you have your two colors, the orange is going to go on top of the other. And I'll explain what I'm saying in just a minute. But if you want the colored part, or what's going to be the fair isle, to pop up above the main color, then that's the color you want on top in your floats. And that's called dominance. So let's start. You want to keep your two balls separate. So I like to separate them, one on each side of me if I'm using the table, one to each side. I also use the pattern keepers from Knitter's Pride to mark where I am. Because this here, I'm going to push up so I know what row I'm on each time. And I can close this and I will not lose my place. So I know I've done row 1 and row 2, and I am now on row 3. And what does this red box mean? That is your pattern repeat. So if I put this down, the legend or key tells you what color is equivalent to what block. If you were doing multiple colors in Fair Isle, in other words, more than 2 colors, you would have different shades, or they would mark it differently. But 2 colors, we have the dark, which is A, which is our main color, in this case is the rust, or burnt orange. And the white box is our contrast color. The key, the red box. So we're going to start with these 3 rows. And as we move up the pattern, and let me hold this here, here's my first 3 rows. And as I start up the total of 13 rows, there's obviously more than 13 rows here. It's telling me to come back to row 4, and the repeat is from row 4 to row 13. So row 4 to row 13, row 4 to row 13, row 4 to 13, and so on. So if you wanted to lengthen these up or make this cuff before you start your gusset even longer on your arm, you would be repeating this repeat. The palm is still a 2x2. So let's get started. So I am on row 3, and I'm going to show you 2 ways to do Fair Isle. First is going to be continental. So for me, I want to make sure, I'm going to swap these actually, because I want my contrast color to be my dominant color, in other words, to stand out a little more. So it's on my left hand.
Okay, don't move too.
And I'm going to tension with my right hand the other yarn. I'm going to, excuse me, Val, move this chart over a little bit. So with contrast color A, I have knit 3. Now the thing about Fair Isle, which is most important, is your floats on the back. And I'm going to talk, let me undo this. Because I'm carrying this yarn, and I don't want my floats to be any more than 3 to 4 stitches.
What's a float?
And I'll explain what the float is right now. Thanks,
Okay.
Val.
So I'm confused.
This, let me put this down. If I turn this inside out, these here are my floats.
Okay.
And if you noticed, obviously one got pulled. We want to avoid that when you put them on and off, because that will distort your stitches on the front. And these were pulled tight, if you can see. So depending on your pattern and your size, obviously if you're on worsted weight, you can go a little longer, but generally I do not go more than 4 stitches. So if I set this back up and I think about a circle, I have 1 stitch on the back plus 2, there's 3. I would like to float here. In order to do a float, because this is the one I'm floating, I'm going to kind of switch fingers for just a moment. And I'm resting it, oops, over my needle. I've just rested it there. I'm taking my color and gonna knit through, and can you see that I've just pulled it now off? So I've caught it through the back here. Mm-hmm. And now I can switch hands. Whoops, and I dropped my first stitch. Let me just... One more time. Well, I am going to do it again, because let me go further down, please. I then have my next stitch, which is, I'm going to pull this down so I can see it a little better, a main color stitch. And now if you notice, I have 5 in my main color. So I'm going to knit 1, 2, and I'm going to float again. So I need to come under to rest it, but I'm using my main color to knit through.
Oh, okay.
So I've just rested that in the back. So can you see how it's kind of curled in between? And the next thing is do not pull this tight. And one way to test your tension is to open your stitches up. And you will know what that float has to do over those 2 stitches. So 4 and 5. Now, I want to switch hands and show you with just swinging. I'm just holding that down. I have my next, stitch is my main color stitch. I then am going to pull up. I have 5 here. So again, I'm holding this one down for a moment. I'm going to knit 1. Oops, let's knit through the stitch. 1, 2, I want to float, so I'm doing the same thing here. And notice I've gone clockwise to rest it, as opposed to when we knit, we go counterclockwise. 3, 4, and 5. Again, I want it, then I have 1 with my main color. And you don't want to be too loosey-goosey. So if you look back and you go, oh, I don't like that stitch, it's a little loose, you can gently pull it. Excuse me. I'm not sure I would tighten it because I want that float nice. Again, I have 5 more with my main color or contrast color. 1, 2, here's 3. I want to float clockwise, counterclockwise, knit through. And now, again, my main color for 4 and 5. Refer to the chart. I have 1 knit. And again, I have 5 more. Now, can you see that this is getting a little wonky? If that happens to you, take the time to undo your stitches or your knitting. You do not want to get yourself all tangled up. I'm going to pull this over clockwise, counter, and knit through. And reverse these back to, but that's how this gets wonky. So if that is, you might consider learning how to do continental, which is probably why I like continental knitting. In the end, I have 1, and knit 3. And again, on that last one, I'm going to float to turn my work. Now, magic loop. I have used tail. I am going to pull that back, turn my work. Now notice how I turned my work
Turn towards you.
towards me. On the next turn, though, I'm going to turn it away from me. Because if I keep turning towards me, I'm going to twist up my yarn. So now I want to come to this side, and I want to start with my yarn separate for a minute. Again, magic loop, I pull this side to the side I want to knit, and I'm going to pull this out. And I call these like butterfly wings. Continental here, and I actually want to pull this under. So here, when I'm doing the 1x1 rib, and remember I showed you the difference of one color on top versus the other, what do I mean? And I'm going to show continental first. and I'm just following through. Here's my first color, and here's my second. What color is on top now by how I'm holding my yarn? Can you see how this is coming on top? So by this, I am pushing my main color to the top of my knitting. Meaning it float-wise is always on top of my contrast color. That is going to lead to the rust color being more prominent. If I want to change that, I need to then take this and put it under. And can everybody see how now this color is on top? So now when I knit through one and I come through here, I am always pushing this one to the top. If in Continental that drives you nuts or you're afraid of catching things, so just switch the position of the two yarns. By doing that, you don't have to pay attention, because this in my right hand will always go on top. So this is how I choose to do Fair Isle. If you are a swinger, who's a swinger with me, thus non-continental, I am still going to hold this one to my right. So as I knit through one and tension down, this is still on top. Do I have any questions on Fair Isle? Now, Fair Isle, I had someone come in yesterday and say, well, I want to do these mitts. What do you think? I know how to knit and I know how to purl. And I've knit in the round before. Can I do it? I will never tell anybody no, they can't do it, but it is tricky. So you do need to count where you are and do some type of system, whether you write down what row you're on, because you don't want to do the same row twice. And you do want to take care so you don't come up all tangled. As far as coming to do Fair Isle, either the Alaska hat or the mitts is a good place to start because it's only two colors. You are relying on the other color to give you the Fair Isle look. Mm-hmm. If you do Fair Isle with multiple colors, meaning you're carrying two colors, the next row you might have two different ones to get different designs, you have a lot more to take care of. Now the other idea I had is the Zabra ball here. You could take black and go over this and also come up with Fair Isle going through a gradient. So think of how you could work this into a large cowl going through. The same pattern even. Mm-hmm. So I hope I've given you some ideas, a little help on doing Fair Isle. And let me know, I know this was a longer session, but I hope it helped. And any questions, again, forward them here to the Stitchin Post. Have a great day and happy Fair Isle, everyone.